An Iranian attack on a Saudi air base this week has injured at least 15 U.S. troops, including 5 seriously. The assault took place on Friday, the latest in a series of attacks on the base since early March. In response, the U.S. is significantly boosting its military presence in the region. An amphibious assault ship, the USS Tripoli, and nearly 2,500 Marines have now arrived in the Middle East. Conflict has seen over 300 U.S. troops wounded since its onset a month ago. Previous attacks this week injured 14 U.S. troops and damaged a U.S. aircraft. The U.S. is increasing its military presence without deploying ground troops, showing readiness for multiple contingencies. This escalation underscores the ongoing threat to stability and global economic interests in the Middle East. Arctic sea ice has reached its lowest winter level on record, tied with last year's measurement, according to climatologists and weather historians. This winter, the ice peaked at 5.52 million square miles. This is about 525,000 square miles below the 1981 to 2010 average. Across the globe, record-breaking temperatures have been reported in numerous regions. In the United States alone, 16 states broke March temperature records in the past week. Meanwhile, 27 locations recorded temperatures high enough to tie or surpass their hottest April day on record. Maximiliano Herrera, a climatologist tracking extreme temperatures, called these events by far the most extreme heat event in world climatic history. Scientists warn that this trend reflects the ongoing impacts of global warming. This signals a continued rise in global temperatures and its effects on polar ice. The Arctic sea ice winter maximum has been consistently declining, impacting wildlife and opening new shipping routes. The broader context suggests that continued global warming will lead to more extreme weather patterns and accelerated sea ice melt, further affecting polar ecosystems and geopolitical landscapes. As temperatures continue to rise, the Arctic's role as Earth's natural refrigerator is increasingly compromised. This leads to significant consequences for global climate stability. President Trump signed an executive order to pay Transportation Security Administration (TSA) personnel immediately, addressing staffing shortages during the spring break travel rush. The order aims to alleviate long security lines at major U.S. airports, but the exact impact remains uncertain. TSA staffing shortages have caused delays of up to 3 hours at some airports, with some travelers missing their flights. Airports are recommending that travelers arrive 4 hours before their scheduled departures to account for potential delays. The call-out rate for TSA officers reached up to 40% daily at some airports. The executive order follows a partial government shutdown that affected TSA payroll, leading to significant staffing issues. Meanwhile, Homeland Security Secretary Markwayne Mullin said TSA personnel could receive immediate payment. It's unclear how soon this will translate to improved airport security operations. Caleb Harmon Marshall, a former TSA officer, estimates longer lines could persist for another week or two even after the order is implemented. The full impact of the executive order on airport security lines is expected to take several days to weeks to be realized. Travelers are advised to monitor airport conditions and allow extra time for security screening. Thousands of protesters took to the streets in major United States cities Saturday, rallying against President Donald Trump's policies in the latest iteration of the No Kings movement. Organizers say the protests focus on issues like federal immigration enforcement and the war in Iran. In Minnesota, high-profile figures like Bruce Springsteen joined the protests. Springsteen performed at a rally in St. Paul, where federal immigration agents had previously killed 2 citizens, leading to widespread outrage. The event drew thousands of protesters and high-profile Democrats. Meanwhile, incidents of arrests and minor scuffles occurred in Los Angeles and Dallas during the protests. In Los Angeles, federal law enforcement officers reported 2 arrests for assaulting DIS agents and multiple arrests for disobeying dispersal orders. Protests also took place in Washington, D.C., New York City, and other major cities. Organizers say these rallies indicate sustained public opposition to the Trump administration's actions, which they argue are unconstitutional and threaten American democracy. The next step for organizers and protesters is to continue pressuring the administration to change policies. The significance of these protests lies in their ability to mobilize large numbers of people and draw national attention to their cause. House Republicans have rejected a Senate deal to reopen the Department of Homeland Security, prolonging a partial U.S. government shutdown. The dispute centers on funding for immigration enforcement agencies, with Republicans demanding ICE funding and Democrats opposing it without reforms. The shutdown has caused significant delays at airports due to unpaid Transportation Security Administration agents who have not received paychecks since mid-February. With 50,000 TSA agents affected, some have quit or are not showing up for work. This leads to staffing shortages and long lines at security checkpoints. Speaker Mike Johnson of the House labeled the Senate bill a joke and insisted on funding for ICE. That's despite Senate Majority Leader John Thune acknowledging the shutdown is a result of Democrats' refusal to reach an agreement. President Donald Trump signed an order directing his administration to pay TSA agents. However, this move may face legal and political challenges. Congress now takes a 2-week break, making it unlikely that any resolution will be reached during this period. The shutdown highlights the political impasse and legislative challenges in addressing border security and immigration policy. This underscores the broader consequences for government operations and public services. Bank of America has agreed to settle a lawsuit brought by victims of Jeffrey Epstein, paying out $72.5 million. The settlement was reached earlier this month and filed in a federal court in New York on March 28. The lawsuit, filed in October by a Florida woman who claims Epstein abused her over 100 times between 2011 and 2019, accused the bank of facilitating Epstein's sex trafficking operation through its services. The settlement does not involve an admission of liability or wrongdoing on Bank of America's part, according to the bank. This is the third major settlement involving financial institutions and Epstein's victims, following agreements by JP Morgan Chase for $290 million and Deutsche Bank for $75 million. The resolution allows both the bank and the plaintiffs to move forward, providing compensation to Epstein's victims without admitting fault. Sigrid McCauley, a lawyer for the victims, stated that this settlement represents one more step on the road to much-deserved justice. Golf legend Tiger Woods was released on bail early Saturday morning after being arrested for driving under the influence, property damage, refusal to submit to a lawful test in Florida. Woods was involved in a crash in Jupiter Island, where his car rolled and clipped a truck. He refused a urine test, but passed a breathalyzer test with triple zeros, according to Sheriff John Dudenseek. Woods was detained for 8 hours before posting bail. This incident raises concerns about Woods' fitness and future participation in golf tournaments, following a series of health setbacks. This includes a serious car crash in 2021 and a DUI arrest in 2017. Woods has also been recovering from a ruptured Achilles tendon and back surgery. United States President Donald Trump expressed concern for Woods, calling him a very close friend. However, the exact substance causing impairment remains unclear as Woods refused a urine test, leading to additional charges. Woods' legal troubles and recent injuries cast doubt on his ability to compete in upcoming tournaments, particularly the Masters, which begins in less than 2 weeks.